Hi there and welcome to today's video. I'm Vanessa Cosmo and I love all things beauty related. In today's video, I'm going to share 5 tips and tricks that I use to make my makeup look good in person. Before we get into it, I'd like to let you know that today's video is kindly sponsored by Merit. So thank you, Merit, for working with me and collaborating with me on today's video. I feel incredibly thrilled and excited to be here and doing this. So let's just jump in and start with step 1. Step 1 is to use a hydrating base for your primer. For today's video, I'm going to be using the Merit Great Skin Instant Glow Serum. They launched this on October 6th of this year. So let's talk about the Great Skin Instant Glow Serum and this first step and why it's important to use something hydrating. So even though I do have oily skin, I like to use hydrating products for my skin because I find personally it helps to make my makeup last longer and just look a lot more natural and seamless. So the Merit Great Skin Instant Glow Serum has niacinamide and hyaluronic acid within it, which is perfect for all skin types, whether you're oily, dry, combo, normal skin. This is a product I am going to use as my moisturizer and primer today, so I'll go into the application in a moment. Now this will give you a subtle lit from within glow without being too heavy and oily, which will cause your makeup to slip and slide and not properly adhere to your face. That's not something we really want. This is gonna provide instant hydration and plump the skin. So let's talk about what's special about the formula. It's super weightless and doesn't leave any residue when you apply it to your skin, and it absorbs very quickly. It's also fragrance free, so those of you that have sensitive skin or sensitive noses, this will be perfect for you. So Merit uses 4 different types of hyaluronic acid within this serum. And so those 4 different types of hyaluronic acid are gonna help provide that hydration all day long. Now the niacinamide aspect to the formula is gonna work to help refine the texture of it and give it that healthy glow that we're wanting. They also have 2 other ingredients. I think it's cacao seed extract and Japanese gold thread root. I may be wrong on that. The cacao seed's gonna help to stimulate blood flow, which is gonna keep the skin looking plump. And I think the Japanese gold thread root is going to help protect the skin from damaging environmental aggressors. So there's a lot going on in this serum. Let's talk about how you apply it. So the first step is to give this a good shake. So I'm going to show you a before and after. So for all of my baristas out there that work with espresso on the daily, when I first saw this before you shake it, it kind of reminded me of an espresso shot. You've got this like liquidy portion on top, you've got kind of like cream foam here, the crema, and then you've got this body that kind of looks like a deep espresso color. But then when you shake it all up, you get this like citrusy caramel color. So it's very important to shake it up because the 2 side by side look very different, and if you want to get all the benefits of this, you definitely want to shake this up. The colors though, both of them are so appealing to me. I don't know why, I find it very satisfying, and I think because it reminds me of espresso, I feel kind of like it helps me to wake up. I know it's super weird, but I worked at Starbucks for 5 years, and so I would look at espresso daily. Okay. So after we've shaken it up, now we want to pump it into the palm of our hand and put it on our face. So if you have oily skin, 1 pump should suffice for you. If you have, I would say, combo normal skin, you could try 2. And then if you have very dry skin, try 3 pumps. I'm still on the oily side, and what I've been using daily is just 1 pump. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to warm it up in my hand, and then I'm actually just gonna throw a headband on really quick. Don't mind me. And then I'm just gonna work this into my skin. So first, I've spread it upward, and my chin has been very dry, so that's why I start here. And then I kind of just press it in. So patting, press, and I'm working in upward motions. We do not want to drag the skin down. Want to keep it looking healthy, lifted, and as youthful as possible. And I can feel it absorbing into my skin very quickly. I'm gonna scooch in, and maybe you can see a bit of that glow on my cheeks. It's subtle. It's not a very radiant luminizing kind of glow. It's just that natural lit from within that I was talking about. There's no residue, it's absorbed quickly, which is nice because I hate when things have a residue and then I go to touch something and you can see oily fingerprints all over. I'm gonna let you know a bit of my thoughts regarding the serum now that I've had it and been able to play with it for about a month. I do have to say overall the consensus is I love it. It's very good, it works, it's lightweight, it keeps my makeup in place pretty much all day. I really do like the finish it gives. I've tried it with probably, let's say at least 10 different foundations, and I haven't experienced any like pilling or bunching up of my foundation when I apply it. The only thing I don't like about this is actually the pump, because it's not happening now, but I have shaken it up and used it a few times where inside the cap there would be a little bit left and then it would have like oil running down the side. I've also pumped out a bit too aggressively, and because it's so liquidy, it's gone over the palm of my hand and then onto whatever pants or skirt I'm wearing. So I think I would have preferred personally if they had used some kind of like squeezy stopper like this. I think this would have looked really nice, still had the gold top. You could pump out what you want into your palm of your hand and have a little bit more control with it. But that's just my personal feelings for it. Now, I also think this is perfect as I'm going into the drier weather. I like a little bit more of a matte foundation, so having something that's this hydrating is gonna work really well for my foundation preferences and to help my skin. I also do have somewhat sensitive skin. I'm very acne prone, and I haven't noticed any more breakouts because of this. I've got a few little bumps going on just because I've consumed some Halloween candy recently, lots of sugar, and my skin does not react well to sugar. The last thing I'm going to mention about this, and then I'm done. Another thing that Merit does really awesome is that they offer gift sets. Now, I think my last video I talked about the base gift set. This video isn't geared towards any base set in particular, but every time Merit launches a new product or adds a new product to their lineup, they usually make a new gift set to include that product so that shoppers can try out those products. So if you want to learn more about the Great Skin Instant Glow Serum, you can check out my personal link down below to the Merit website where you can shop some of my favorites, and you can also check out the gift sets that they offer. I think they've created 3 new gift sets for the Great Skin where you can try it out, which I think is awesome because you're going to get skincare and makeup, and usually it's enough to at least have the basics to do your makeup for the day. So I just wanted to add that there for you. Let's move on to the second step now. So my second tip for making your makeup look as good as it can in person and give you a very natural look is to use a brush combined with a sponge. Now I know this might seem a little bit extra, and potentially it is, but let me explain the reasoning why. So with a brush, you're gonna get more coverage with your foundation, but with the sponge, what you're gonna end up doing is remove anything extra. So any extra foundation that your skin doesn't need that isn't really sticking in place, which is gonna help to prevent your makeup from looking cakey and too, like there's just too much on your face. And then the sponge is also gonna help to press and push that into your skin so that it becomes one. So there's a lot of different things going on. So let's go ahead and apply foundation. I'm gonna keep this on for a bit until the end once I've kind of completed the look. I hope you don't mind. So you can use whatever foundation you're loving at the moment. I'm gonna pump on the back of my hand first. If you have a palette, that's also a good technique. And then we're gonna push the foundation into the bristles of the brush, which gives us some more control and allows the product to go a little bit further. Now, areas where you might apply too much foundation can be the nose area. The under eye is especially an area you don't want too much foundation because it's also an area we tend to use concealer. And then if you have too many heavy layers, your under eyes, those creases that you may have or fine lines can be exaggerated. and we definitely don't want that. So everything is blended in. Now I'm gonna go with my sponge and kind of just press everything in and then make sure it's blended. This is a fresh sponge, by the way. I'm just patting and pushing it in. I'm gonna show you my skin. It's looking, to me, very flawless. That glow is starting to come through. I am very happy with it. It just looks like my skin to me. And then this is my sponge. So there was a good amount that came off. If you've been seeing I think it's the TikTok trend where people pump their foundation into a glass of water, stir it, and then pull out the foundation. I think the science behind that is that the oils or the water is going to help to kind of remove any extra oil so your foundation lasts longer. When you use a damp sponge on top of the foundation, it's kind of doing the same thing where it's going to remove anything extra that you don't need. This is a step that I've been doing for the last, let's say, pretty much 3 months, and every time my skin looked great. So I've gone ahead and added concealer to my face. Now we're ready for the next step. So for my third tip, what I'm gonna recommend is you layer cream products with powder products. So we're gonna put down cream bronzer, cream blush, and then we're gonna set it with a similar color in a powder formula. So the reasoning behind this, creams help to counteract the drying and cakey properties of the powders, but the powders help to lock in the cream products and provide longevity for the day. So really the way I like to think about it is that they're really working to balance each other out and create more of a natural, born this way type of look. So the look is neither too matte or too glowy or hydrating, it's just somewhere in the middle. Now this works every time for me and has been something I've been doing, honestly, at this point for years. Ever since I started discovering and playing with cream products, I couldn't give up my powders because I love them so much. So I found a way to work with both of them. So if you are someone that is super dry, just use a little bit more cream and less powder. If you're someone that's super oily, use less cream and a little bit more powder. So for my cream blush today, actually let's start with bronzer. I'm gonna go in with Leo from Merit, their cream bronzer stick. Now the other tip and trick, I'm just gonna incorporate this quickly right now, and I'm gonna talk about it a bit at the end, is to not do anything that's super trendy at the moment. So don't focus on contouring and highlighting as well. Keep that more for glam makeup. It's just, you might be adding too many layers. The point of working with creams and powders is we're working in layers, but they're very thin layers. So it's just giving me that subtle look. It's also just going to help it look like it's coming from within your skin. Now I'm gonna add my cream blush. For this, I'm gonna use the shade Raspberry Beret in the Merit blush, which I think is gonna look really nice with my, I don't know if you'd call it like a forest green kind of shirt, but it's one of my favorite colors. Now for applying creams, I like to use a dual fiber brush. That's what I used for the bronzer and I'm using for the cream. I just find that it applies it very evenly and lightly. Now to lock it in, I'm gonna start with my bronzer. Just gonna go in like this. This is a very similar color. And because we have a few layers going on, I'm very much patting this in instead of like swiping it, which I feel like could disturb the creams underneath. And then I'll go in with my similar shade in the blush. Just pat in. This one's very pigmented and powdery, so I'm gonna pat on the back of my hand first. A little mini trick within a trick because I do not want to go in with that much. And I'm just kind of lightly dusting it on the face to just bring out that Raspberry Beret color. So you can see the difference here. It's a little bit more intense. It's kind of like a wine berry shade. Let's get into the fourth tip now that we're done with the complexion and the cheeks. My fourth tip is to set only where you need to. So for this one, you really do need to know your skin type because where you place the powder really depends on what type of skin you have. So if you're super oily, you may need to set everywhere. If you're combo, you may have areas that are oily and you may have areas that are not. So for me, I know that my eyelids get very oily. Even if I use an eye primer, they stay oily all year round, which can cause me to have raccoon eyes and have sometimes powders transfer underneath. So I definitely need to set underneath my eyes. However, my under eyes are very dry. So I need to be careful how much powder I'm putting there. Setting is a must, so using a very hydrating concealer is what I do to kind of balance that out. So what I've been loving, again, for the past, I'm gonna say 4 months, is using a triangle puff with either a loose setting powder or a firm pressed powder. I actually didn't explain why it's important to set only where you need it. The reason we're only setting where we need it is because we're working again in these fine layers to make everything look natural, and we don't want to have excessive layers if we don't need them. We don't want to powder an area that we don't have to, because that might just bring attention to that area and make it look cakey and heavy. So I've got my puff, I'm pressing it in, and then on the clean portion of my hand, I'm working this in again. We're pushing the product into the puff so we have more control. And then before I go and apply it to my eyes, let's make sure any creases have been smoothed out before we set them. As you age, you are just gonna have fine line and wrinkles, but you're looking for the concealer setting into those lines. You just wanna push it out quickly. I don't really have much today, but depending on the concealer, I may. And then I'm going to set it. And you can just see that brightened it up and smoothed it out ever so slightly to make it look a little bit more natural and perfected. And then my last tip is to just work with your natural features. But what I'm talking about is don't do a crazy bold eye look. We want everything to look really cohesive and smooth, like it's all one. So if you're struggling with the eyes, focus on just using maybe 3 or 4 eyeshadows. So any quad palettes are gonna be a great idea. And make sure the tones are kind of within what you've placed on your face. So I kind of have berry tones, so I'm gonna work with soft berry tones on my eyes to make everything look blended. So this is the type of makeup, I'm gonna reiterate, that's a little bit more natural based. If you wanna see how to make your makeup look good in person doing more full glam, I could definitely do a video on that, especially as the holiday season is coming up. Overall, we want everything to look like it's one. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my eyebrows, my eyes, and then you can see the finished look. So for my eyebrows, you can see I'm carving out the shape underneath, so I know where my brows naturally go, and then I'm extending that tail just a few millimeters outward and then filling in where I don't have any brows. There you go. So you can see it still looks very similar to this one, but it's a little bit more bold, matches my hair better. It matches nicely where my eye ends and where the tail finishes from my nose. So it's looking very symmetrical. I'm gonna keep to my natural eye shape and not do anything a little bit exaggerated. I'm gonna take a bigger fluffy brush and just add a little bit of the bronzer powder I used, because that's gonna match really nicely with my cheek and give this a very natural finish look. Now I also recommend the types of palettes or eyeshadows that you're using to use ones that are a little bit less pigmented. So right now, using very pigmented eyeshadows and things that are very bright and have a lot of potency when you first apply them is huge. Everyone wants that. But if you're wanting a more natural, subtle, everyday look, you need to look for products that have a little less pigment but are very easy to work with. So beginner-friendly products. And I hate to say it, but a lot of higher end brands offer that within their collections. So like Dior, Charlotte Tilbury, Givenchy, maybe even the new Valentino brand, which I haven't tried. But these are the types of powders that you're seeing makeup artists use on celebrities. But also, you don't want to have to work too hard to think of a color combination for this kind of stuff, because if you're using a palette that's got 20 or 15 different shades and you're trying to make it look really natural, well, it's easy to go overboard because you want to use more colors because you have those palettes, but it's also maybe sometimes harder to figure out what to do, or you can get more of a mental block. So keep it simple. So we've got just a little bit of bronzer, and you can already see how that's matching here, here, and a little bit here. And we're kind of just sandwiching the eyes, but making it all look like it's one. And I'm gonna go into the berry shade in this palette, sweep it over the entire lid. Now, if Merit ever comes out with a quad or any eyeshadows, I will be all over them, whether they're cream. They're most likely gonna be cream, if I'm gonna be honest. Probably some kind of like caviar stick, like what Bobbi Brown or Laura Mercier has, or maybe like a 4-pan palette like Rowan Beauty, or what Rose Inc came out with their duos. Something really easy to just get in and swipe on your face. And I'm just gonna take this shade right here with my finger. I'm gonna be honest, at first when I got a palette like this, I was disappointed because I was hoping for intense pigment payoff, but I understand now. I was comparing this type of palette to all the brands that are coming out with very bright, vibrant things, and that's just not fair because they're not meant for the same. So now we just need to add mascara and a lip, and this look will be complete. So I'll be right back in a minute. Okay, so I've finished my makeup and this is what it looks like. I had a lot of fun making this video. I really like how everything came together. I mean, this is pretty much my go-to makeup on the daily. There's a reason I love this makeup. It is pretty much foolproof. It lasts all day for me, and it is the makeup I get most complimented on, and I'd rather just promote makeup that I feel like is actually wearable. So that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you found it helpful and informative. Please give this video a big like and subscribe if you want to see more like it. I'd also love to hear any feedback in the comments below if you do something similar. If you have any tips or tricks to share with us, please, we are constantly all learning, and I think that's what helps us to get better in our makeup journeys. I want to learn some new tips and tricks that you do for your everyday makeup. This is definitely makeup you can wear out and will look good in person. Hopefully looks good on screen too. Another big thank you to Merit for working with me and sponsoring this video. I, again, am so thrilled that I have that opportunity, and it's a huge thank you to all of my subscribers and viewers for making this happen. I hope you have a great day wherever you are. I look forward to seeing you in my next one, and we'll talk soon. Bye.